Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Frontier, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. His ship was 3 months into a deep space exploration mission when the communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, turned to him with worry in her eyes. "Captain, we're picking up a galaxy-wide broadcast. It's coming from everywhere at once." Jake frowned. Galaxy-wide broadcasts were rare and usually meant trouble. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered and showed a massive alien figure. The creature was tall and covered in dark scales. Scars covered its face and arms. Behind it stood other aliens of different shapes and sizes. Some looked like insects. Others were made of crystal. One group had large heads and glowing eyes. The scarred alien spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Keltar of the Vorthak Empire. I speak for the Galactic Confederation. We address the species known as humans." Jake felt his blood turn cold. This was first contact, but not the kind humanity had hoped for. "Your expansion into galactic space ends now," Keltar continued. "Human colonies are a threat to galactic peace. Your species shows aggressive behavior. You cannot be trusted with faster-than-light travel." The alien's voice was filled with disgust. "The Galactic Confederation hereby declares all human territories under quarantine. You have 1 galactic standard year to remove all colonies beyond your home system. Any human presence outside the Sol system after this deadline will face corrective measures." The screen went dark. Jake stared at the empty display. His crew looked at him in shock. "Sir, what do we do?" asked Lieutenant Kim. "Get me Admiral Rodriguez, at Luna Station. Emergency channel." Across human space, the same message was being received. On Luna Station, Admiral Lisa Rodriguez watched the broadcast with growing anger. She was a tough woman who had spent her life protecting human colonies. The idea of abandoning them made her sick. Her aide, Commander Frank Davis, entered her office. "Ma'am, we're getting reports from all colonies. They've all received the same message." "How many species are in this confederation?" Rodriguez asked. "Intelligence estimates 47 different alien races. The Vorthak Empire seems to be the military leaders. The Zelthans have advanced technology. The Mindari have psychic powers. The architects are ancient and very powerful." Rodriguez stood. "And they want us to abandon 12-star systems because they don't like us?" "That's what it sounds like, ma'am." On Earth, President Daniel Carter called an emergency meeting. Representatives from every human colony joined by video link. The room was filled with angry voices. "We can't fight them," said Dr. Amy Patterson, Earth's top expert on alien life. "They have 47 species. We're just one. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours." Colonel Ryan Brooks slammed his fist on the table. "If we run now, what's next? Will they decide our home system is too dangerous too? Where does it end?" Governor Pete Johnson spoke from the Kepler 4042 colony. "My people have been farming this world for 30 years. We built schools, hospitals, homes. We're not abandoning everything because some aliens are scared of us." President Carter listened to the debate. Finally, he raised his hand for silence. "The question is simple. Do we bow to these aliens, or do we stand our ground?" The vote was taken. Every colony representative voted the same way. Humanity would not retreat. Captain Morrison received orders to return to Earth immediately. As his ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, he wondered what humanity was getting itself into. Dr. Patterson worked day and night studying the alien broadcast. She noticed something interesting. The aliens seemed genuinely afraid of humans. Their words talked about threats and danger, but their body language showed fear. "Why are they so scared of us?" she asked her assistant, Dr. Mark Thompson. "Maybe they know something we don't," he replied. At Luna Station, Admiral Rodriguez began preparing for war. She knew humanity was outgunned, but she also knew humans had something the aliens might not expect. Humans were stubborn. They didn't give up easily. Colonel Brooks started training special forces units for possible alien contact. His soldiers practiced fighting in different gravity conditions and against unknown weapons. As the months passed, human colonies reported strange things. Long-range sensors picked up massive objects moving in space far from human systems. The objects were too big to be natural and moved too fast to be asteroids. Captain Morrison's ship detected a huge fleet gathering near the edge of known space. The ships were massive, much larger than anything humans had built. Some were kilometers long. They're positioning for an attack, Morrison told Admiral Rodriguez during a secure communication. These aren't exploration ships, these are warships. Rodriguez nodded grimly. How long do you think we have? Based on their movement patterns, maybe 6 months before they reach our outer colonies. President Carter addressed the world. Fellow humans, we face a choice our species has faced before. We can surrender our freedom for safety, or we can fight for what we believe in. Our ancestors chose freedom. So do we. Across human space, families said goodbye as men and women joined the military. Factories retooled to build weapons and ships. Scientists worked to improve human technology. Dr. Patterson made a disturbing discovery while studying old radio signals from deep space. The Galactic Confederation had done this before. Dozens of civilizations had been given the same ultimatum. Most had surrendered. Those that didn't had simply disappeared. They're not trying to contain us, she told President Carter. They're trying to control us. This is what they do to every species that develops faster than light travel. The president's face was grim. Then they picked the wrong species to mess with. As the deadline approached, humanity prepared for the worst. Every able-bodied person trained for combat. Every factory worked overtime. Every scientist pushed the limits of human technology. Admiral Rodriguez stood in the command center at Luna Station, looking at displays showing alien fleets moving toward human space. The largest fleet was heading for the Kepler 442 system. They're going to hit New Montana first, she told her staff. They want to make an example. Commander Davis looked worried. Our defense fleet there has only 12 ships. Intelligence says the alien fleet has over 100. Rodriguez nodded. Send word to Governor Johnson, tell him help is coming, tell him to hold on. But they all knew the truth. Help was weeks away. The colonists at New Montana would have to face the alien fleet alone. The war was about to begin. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a storm cloud. Governor Pete Johnson watched from his office window as the sky above New Montana filled with massive ships. The largest vessel was 3 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that could destroy cities. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, said his aide, Mary Stevens. Johnson walked to the communication console. The screen showed a Vorthak alien even larger than Ambassador Keltar. This one wore military armor covered in battle scars. I am Warlord Thexmore, the alien growled. You will evacuate this world immediately. You have 12 hours. Johnson straightened his shoulders. He was a simple man who had spent most of his life farming, but he was also stubborn. This is our home. We built it with our own hands. We're not leaving. The alien's eyes blazed with anger. Then you will die with Sacre. Commander Kate Sullivan received the emergency signal aboard her cruiser, the UES Defiance. She commanded the defense fleet protecting New Montana. 12 human ships against over 100 alien vessels. The odds were impossible, but she had orders to protect the colony. All ships, this is Commander Sullivan. Form attack formation, Alpha. We're going in. Lieutenant Ben Carter sat in his fighter cockpit, hands shaking slightly. He was young and had never seen real combat. Around him, 11 other human ships prepared to face the alien armada. The first exchange of fire lit up space like fireworks. Human ships fired railgun rounds that moved at incredible speed. The projectiles struck alien shields and bounced off harmlessly like raindrops on glass. The alien response was devastating. Beams of pure energy sliced through human armor like knives through paper. The cruiser UES Valor exploded in a ball of fire. Seconds later, the destroyer UES Guardian broke apart as alien plasma tore through its hull. Their shields are too strong, Sullivan reported to her fleet. Switch to hit-and-run tactics, don't stay in one place. The human ships scattered, using their smaller size and speed to avoid the worst of the alien fire. But it wasn't enough. One by one, human vessels were destroyed or disabled. Lieutenant Carter's fighter took a glancing hit that damaged his engines. He spun out of control, heading straight for an alien destroyer. His systems were failing, but he noticed something strange. The alien ship's shields flickered for just a moment, after deflecting an attack. There, he whispered to himself. They have to recharge. Carter waited for his moment. When another human ship fired at the destroyer, he watched the shields flicker. In that split second of vulnerability, he fired everything he had. His missiles struck the alien hull directly, tearing a huge hole in the ship's side. The destroyer listed to one side, atmosphere venting from the breach. Carter had proven something important. The aliens could be hurt. But his small victory cost him. 3 alien fighters swarmed his damaged ship. Carter's last transmission was calm and clear. This is Lieutenant Carter. I've proven they can bleed, make them pay for every drop. His fighter disappeared in a flash of light. On the planet below, Governor Johnson watched the battle through telescopes. Half the human fleet was gone, but they had damaged several alien ships. He turned to his people in the command center. They can be hurt, he said. That changes everything. Warlord Thexmore was furious. Primitive humans had actually damaged one of his destroyers. His officers looked shocked. The Eternal Dominion had shields that could stop asteroid impacts, yet these humans had found a weakness. Destroy their remaining ships, he ordered. Then begin orbital bombardment of the colony. The remaining human ships fought desperately, but they were overwhelmed. Commander Sullivan's cruiser was the last to fall, taking 2 alien frigates with her as she rammed them at full speed. With the space battle over, the aliens turned their weapons on New Montana. Energy beams struck the planet's surface, destroying military bases and defensive positions. The colonists retreated to underground shelters, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. Governor Johnson addressed his people over the colony's communication system. This is our home. Our children were born here, our families are buried here, we're Americans, damn it. We don't surrender our homes to bullies. The siege of New Montana began. Alien ships surrounded the planet, cutting off all supply lines. They demanded surrender every few hours. The answer was always the same, no, but something important was happening that the aliens didn't know about. Every human ship in the battle had been transmitting data back to Earth. Every weapon impact, every shield fluctuation, every tactical movement was recorded and sent home. Admiral Rodriguez studied the battle recordings with her staff. The footage was painful to watch. Good people dying in ships that weren't strong enough to protect them. But it was also valuable. Look at this, she said, pointing to a section of the recording. Their shields have a recharge cycle. For 0.7 seconds after deflecting an attack, they're vulnerable. Dr. Kevin Matthews, head of the Prometheus Research Institute, leaned forward. If we can time our attacks properly, we might be able to hurt them. It's not enough, said Colonel Brooks. They still have better weapons, better armor, better everything. Rodriguez nodded. Then we need to get better fast. On Earth, factories began working around the clock. Every piece of alien technology recovered from the battle was studied. Scientists worked to understand how alien shields functioned. Engineers designed new weapons based on what they had learned. The wreckage of Lieutenant Carter's fighter was recovered by a search and rescue team. In the debris, they found fragments of an alien shield generator that had been damaged in the collision. It wasn't much, but it was something. Dr. Matthews's team began taking apart the alien technology piece by piece. They found systems that were incredibly advanced but also complex. The aliens relied on their superior technology instead of tactics or innovation. They fight like machines, observed Dr. Patterson after studying battle recordings. Everything is programmed, predictable. They don't adapt quickly to new situations. President Carter met with his military leaders. The reports from New Montana were grim. The colony was cut off and under siege. Supplies were running low. How long can they hold out? He asked. Maybe 2 months, Admiral Rodriguez replied. But, sir, they're buying us time. Every day they resist is another day for us to prepare. The president looked out the window at the night sky. Somewhere up there, 3 million humans were trapped on a planet surrounded by aliens who wanted them dead. But they weren't giving up. What do you need? He asked. Everything, Rodriguez said. Ships, weapons, trained crews, and time. On New Montana, the colonists organized into resistance cells. Farmers became guerrilla fighters. Teachers learned to operate anti-aircraft guns. Children helped spot alien patrols from hidden observation posts. The aliens tried to break their will with propaganda broadcasts. They offered safe passage to anyone who surrendered. They promised that cooperation would be rewarded. Governor Johnson's response was broadcast to the entire colony. They think fear will make us weak. They're wrong. Fear makes us dangerous. Night after night, human raiders struck at alien positions. They couldn't win a direct fight, but they could make the aliens pay for every meter of ground. The siege became a bleeding wound that drew attention from across the galaxy. Other species watched the humans fight with growing interest. Most civilizations had surrendered when faced with Confederation ultimatums. The humans were different. They kept fighting even when defeat was certain. As the second month of the siege began, long-range sensors detected movement in human space. A massive fleet was approaching New Montana from Earth. Admiral Rodriguez was coming with everything humanity could spare. The real war was about to begin. Dr. Kevin Matthews stared at the alien shield fragments spread across his laboratory table. For weeks, his team had worked day and night trying to understand how the technology functioned. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, a coffee spill. "Sir, look at this," said his assistant, Dr. Helen Chang. She had accidentally spilled coffee on one of the fragments, and the liquid had caused strange energy patterns to appear on their scanners. Matthews ran the tests again, this time deliberately exposing the alien technology to different liquids. Water caused no reaction, but organic compounds created interference patterns in the energy field. "They're using quantum field manipulation," he said with growing excitement. "But it's vulnerable to certain molecular structures. If we can create the right interference pattern." Within days, the Prometheus Research Institute had developed a prototype weapon that could disrupt alien shields. It wasn't perfect. The effect only lasted for a few seconds, but it was a start. Admiral Rodriguez watched the test firing from Luna Station. A human destroyer fired the new weapon at a captured alien shield generator. For 3.2 seconds, the shield failed completely. "It works," she said quietly. "Now we need to make it work in battle." Captain Jake Morrison's ship, the UES Frontier, became the testing ground for humanity's new weapons. His vessel was refitted with experimental shield disruptors, improved engines, and new armor designed to absorb energy weapon impacts. "Captain, we're receiving new orders," reported Lieutenant Kim. "We're to conduct deep reconnaissance missions behind enemy lines." Morrison nodded. "Tell the crew to prepare for combat operations. We're going hunting." The Frontier's first mission took them to the Rigel system, where alien supply convoys were reported to be moving. Morrison's crew had practiced the new tactics for weeks: hit fast, hit hard, and get out before the enemy could respond. They found the convoy exactly where intelligence had predicted. 3 alien cargo ships escorted by 2 destroyers. The convoy was massive compared to Morrison's single cruiser, but humans had learned not to fight fair. "Launch drones," Morrison ordered. Dozens of small, unmanned fighters swarmed toward the alien ships. The enemy destroyers fired at them, but the drones were too small and too fast. While the aliens focused on the drone swarm, Morrison's ship moved into attack position. "Fire shield disruptors," he commanded. The alien escort's shields flickered and died. For 3 seconds they were vulnerable. Human missiles streaked through space and struck the unprotected hulls. Both destroyers exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The cargo ships tried to escape, but they were too slow. Morrison's crew boarded one of them and discovered something disturbing. The ship wasn't carrying supplies. It was full of technology stolen from destroyed civilizations. "Captain, you need to see this," said Chief Engineer Bob Taylor. He led Morrison to the cargo hold where thousands of devices were stored in containment fields. "These aren't alien inventions. They're from species the Confederation conquered." Morrison picked up a device that looked almost human in design. According to the alien records, it came from a species called the Karani, who had been pacified 200 years ago. They're not just conquering civilizations, Morrison realized. They're stealing everything they create, then wiping them out. Back on Earth, this discovery changed everything. Dr. Patterson analyzed the stolen technology and found evidence of dozens of destroyed species. Each one had been given the same ultimatum humanity received. Each one had either surrendered or been eliminated. "We're not the first," she told President Carter. "We're just the latest in a long line of civilizations they've destroyed." The president's face was grim. "Then we need to make sure we're the last." Operation Prometheus began with simultaneous attacks across Confederation space. Human ships, now equipped with shield disruptors and improved weapons, struck at alien outposts and supply lines. Commander Kate Sullivan had survived the battle at New Montana by ejecting from her destroyed ship. Now she commanded a new vessel, the UES Retribution, and led a fleet of 20 ships against an alien stronghold at Wolf 359. The enemy base was heavily defended, with orbital platforms and a garrison of 30 warships. Under the old tactics, attacking such a position would have been suicide. But humans had learned to fight differently. "All ships execute Wolfpack formation," Sullivan ordered. The human fleet split into small groups that attacked from different directions. While alien commanders tried to coordinate their defense, human ships used hit-and-run tactics to pick off individual targets. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the alien base was destroyed and their fleet was scattered. Sullivan had lost only 3 ships while destroying 15 enemy vessels. News of the victory spread quickly through human space. For the first time since the war began, people felt hope. Major Lisa Park led a special forces unit tasked with capturing alien technology and prisoners. Her team had discovered something interesting about the Mindari psychic warriors. Their mental attacks didn't work properly on humans. "Our minds are too chaotic," she explained to her troops. "They're used to dealing with species that think in predictable patterns. We don't." Park's unit used this confusion to their advantage. During a raid on a Mindari research facility, her soldiers pretended to be affected by psychic attacks while actually positioning themselves for a surprise assault. The Mindari were so focused on their mental abilities that they forgot to watch for physical threats. Park's team captured several aliens and a wealth of information about Confederation technology. Dr. Matthews's team made breakthrough after breakthrough. Each captured alien device revealed new secrets. Human technology advanced by decades in a matter of months. The new ships rolling out of Earth's factories were smaller than alien vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. They carried weapons specifically designed to exploit alien weaknesses, and armor that could absorb energy weapon impacts. But humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology, it was unpredictability. While alien commanders followed rigid tactical doctrines, human officers improvised and adapted in real time. Captain Morrison led a daring raid on the Procyon system, where the aliens had established a major naval base. His small fleet of 6 ships faced a garrison of 40 alien vessels. Instead of attacking the base directly, Morrison's ships hid in the system's asteroid belt and waited. When alien patrols came looking for them, the humans struck from ambush using the asteroids as cover. The alien commander couldn't understand what was happening. His ships were being picked off one by an enemy that seemed to appear and disappear at will. By the time he realized the humans were using the asteroids for concealment, half his fleet was destroyed. The victory at Procyon shocked the Confederation leadership. Warlord Thexmore demanded permission to use Planet Killer weapons against human worlds, but the Council hesitated. They had never faced a species that fought back so effectively. On New Montana, the siege continued, but now the colonists had hope. Supply ships began breaking through the alien blockade, bringing food, medicine, and weapons. The resistance fighters became bolder, launching raids on alien positions almost every night. Governor Johnson's daily broadcasts became famous throughout human space. His simple words inspired millions. "We're still here. We're still fighting. We're still free." As the war entered its 6th month, the balance was beginning to shift. Human losses were still heavy, but alien casualties were mounting too. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Confederation was facing an enemy that refused to surrender. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Liberation, and watched reports coming in from across the galaxy. Human fleets were winning battles. Alien supply lines were under constant attack. The enemy was beginning to retreat from several systems. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission from the Confederation Council," reported her communications officer. "Put it through." Ambassador Keltar appeared on the screen, but he looked different now. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that might have been fear. "Admiral Rodriguez, the Confederation Council wishes to discuss terms for ending this conflict." Rodriguez smiled coldly. "The only terms we'll accept are simple. Get out of our space and leave us alone." "You don't understand," Keltar said desperately. "There are things in the galaxy far more dangerous than us. We maintain order. We keep the peace." "Whose peace?" Rodriguez asked. "The peace of the grave for all the species you've destroyed?" The transmission ended. Rodriguez turned to her staff. "Gentlemen, it's time to take this war to their home systems. They wanted to see what monsters looked like. Let's show them." The Mindari psychic warriors arrived at the Tau Ceti system expecting easy victory. They had broken the minds of entire civilizations before. Their leader, Mind Speaker Vex High, believed humans would crumble before their mental assault, just like all the others. Major Lisa Park watched the alien ships approach through her binoculars. Her Special Forces unit was hidden in caves on Tau Ceti's third moon, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "Remember," she told her soldiers, "their mind. Tricks don't work on us the way they think they do. Use that confusion against them." The psychic attack began at dawn. Waves of mental energy swept across the moon, designed to fill human minds with terror and despair. Park felt the alien presence trying to push into her thoughts, but it felt weak and unfocused. "They can't read us properly," she realized. "Our thoughts are too random for them to follow." While the Mindari focused on their psychic assault, Park's soldiers moved into attack positions. The aliens were so confident in their mental powers that they had landed their ships with minimal defenses. "Attack pattern chaos," Park ordered over the radio. "Everyone do something different." Her soldiers spread out and began attacking from all directions at once. Some used explosives, others fired rifles, and a few threw rocks to create noise and confusion. There was no pattern to follow, no strategy to predict. The Mindari were completely bewildered. Their minds were used to dealing with orderly, logical thoughts. The chaotic nature of human tactics overloaded their psychic abilities. Mindspeaker Vexhai tried to regain control of the situation, but every time he focused on one human, 3 others would attack from different directions. His carefully planned assault became a disaster. By sunset, most of the Mindari ships were destroyed or captured. The few survivors retreated in panic, reporting that human minds were impossible to read or control. Dr. Amy Patterson made an important discovery while studying captured Confederation databases. She had been trying to understand why the aliens were so afraid of younger species when she found encrypted files buried deep in their systems. "Kevin, you need to see this," she called to Dr. Matthews, who was working at a nearby console. The files contained star maps of another galaxy, far from their current location. The maps showed hundreds of civilizations that had once existed there. Every single one was marked as consumed or destroyed. "They're not from this galaxy," Patterson said with growing excitement. "They're refugees. Something drove them here from their original home." Further investigation revealed the truth. The current elder species of the Confederation had fled their home galaxy thousands of years ago, escaping from something called the Devourers. These machine intelligences consumed entire star systems, turning matter into energy for their endless expansion. That's why they're so controlling, Matthews realized. They think that any species developing advanced technology might become like the Devourers. They're trying to prevent another catastrophe. Captain Morrison received secret orders to lead a deep reconnaissance mission into the galactic core. His ship, the UES Frontier, had been upgraded with the latest stealth technology and faster-than-light engines. "Our mission is to find the Confederation's command center," Morrison told his crew. Intelligence believes it's hidden somewhere near the galactic center. The journey took 3 weeks through hostile space. Morrison's ship avoided alien patrols and sensor networks, using newly developed cloaking devices to remain invisible. They found the Nexus station hidden inside a massive nebula. The structure was enormous, larger than some moons, and heavily protected by automated defense systems. Thousands of alien ships patrolled the area. Morrison's team managed to infiltrate the station using captured alien identification codes. What they discovered there changed everything they thought they knew about the war. The Nexus wasn't just a military command center. It was a prison. Dozens of alien species were held in technological stasis, their development carefully controlled by the Confederation. Those who tried to advance beyond certain limits were eliminated. "They're not protecting the galaxy," Morrison reported back to Earth. "They're controlling it. Every species is kept at exactly the level of technology the Confederation allows." But the most shocking discovery came when Morrison accessed the station's historical records. The Confederation wasn't just running from the Devourers, they were still actively searching for them. Long-range sensors were constantly scanning the void between galaxies, looking for signs of pursuit. The Devourers are still out there, Morrison realized. And the Confederation is terrified they might find this galaxy. The intelligence Morrison gathered reached Earth just as President Carter was preparing for the next phase of the war. The revelation that the Confederation was driven by fear rather than aggression changed his strategy completely. "They're not evil," Carter told his advisors. "They're scared. That doesn't excuse what they've done, but it explains it." Admiral Rodriguez disagreed. "Fear doesn't justify genocide, sir. They've destroyed entire civilizations because they were afraid of what they might become." The debate was interrupted by urgent news from New Montana. The aliens had deployed a planet-killer weapon. Governor Johnson's final transmission was calm and clear. "This is New Montana. We can see the weapon charging. Tell our families we stood firm. Tell Earth that we never surrendered." The energy beam struck the planet like the fist of an angry god. In seconds, 3 million people were dead. New Montana, humanity's first successful agricultural colony, was nothing but cooling rock and metal. The news hit Earth like a physical blow. President Carter's declaration of total war echoed across human space. They wanted to see what monsters looked like. "We'll show them." Operation Ragnarok began immediately. Every human ship, every weapon, every soldier was committed to the fight. The time for restraint was over. Dr. Matthews' research teams had finally cracked the secret of alien faster-than-light technology. Human ships could now move faster and strike harder than ever before. But humanity's greatest weapon was something the aliens had never expected: pure, focused rage. Commander Sullivan led the first wave of attacks on Confederation military bases. Her fleet moved like a pack of wolves, striking fast and hard before disappearing into hyperspace. Alien commanders couldn't predict where the humans would attack next. The battle for the Vega system lasted 3 days. Sullivan's fleet faced overwhelming odds: 50 human ships against 200 alien vessels, but the humans fought with a fury that shocked their enemies. Kamikaze drone swarms overwhelmed alien point defenses. Cloaked ships delivered devastating surprise attacks. Human crews that should have retreated instead pressed their attacks, trading their lives for enemy ships. When the battle ended, the alien fleet was destroyed. Sullivan had lost 30 ships, but she had proven that the Confederation could be beaten. Captain Morrison led the assault on the Confederation's shipyards at Rigel. His mission was to destroy their ability to build new warships. The target was heavily defended, but Morrison had a plan. Instead of attacking directly, his ships positioned themselves around the system and began broadcasting on all frequencies. The broadcasts contained detailed information about the Confederation's true history, how they had fled their home galaxy, how they had destroyed dozens of civilizations, how they kept entire species in technological slavery. The broadcasts were picked up by species throughout the galaxy. Many of them had always suspected the truth but had been too afraid to resist. Now they knew they weren't alone. Revolts began breaking out across Confederation space. The Zeltans, who had always been uncomfortable with the Confederation's methods, openly joined the human alliance. Several minor species followed their example. The Confederation began to fracture. Progressive species sided with humanity while militaristic factions prepared to fight to the end. The Mindari, overwhelmed by the chaos of human thoughts, withdrew into isolation. Warlord Thexmore made a desperate attempt to save the Confederation by launching a massive assault on Earth itself. His fleet of 500 ships was the largest force ever assembled in galactic history. Admiral Rodriguez met them halfway, at the edge of the Sol system. Her fleet was smaller, only 200 ships, but every vessel carried the latest human technology and was crewed by people fighting for their home. The battle raged for 12 hours. Human tactics had evolved far beyond anything the aliens understood. Swarm attacks, unpredictable maneuvers, and weapons designed specifically to exploit alien weaknesses turned the tide. When Thexmore's flagship, the Eternal Dominion, finally exploded, the remaining alien fleet retreated in panic. The road to Earth was clear, but more importantly, the myth of Confederation invincibility was broken forever. As reports of human victories poured in from across the galaxy, Dr. Patterson made one final discovery. Long-range sensors had detected movement in the void between galaxies. Something massive was heading toward their galaxy. The Devourers had found them at last. The news that the Devourers were coming spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Long-range sensors showed massive shapes moving through the void between galaxies, objects the size of small moons, clearly artificial, heading straight for their location. President Carter called an emergency meeting with the surviving Confederation leadership. The session took place aboard a neutral station, with representatives from dozens of species attending by hologram. Ambassador Keltar looked older and more tired than before. "You don't understand what you've done," he told Carter. "The chaos of this war, the energy signatures from your weapons, it's like a beacon calling them here." Admiral Rodriguez stood beside the president. "Maybe it's time to stop running," she said. "Maybe it's time to fight back." "Fight them?" Keltar's voice was filled with disbelief. "We tried that. Entire star systems disappeared. Planets consumed, down to their cores. They turned matter into energy to fuel their expansion." Dr. Kevin Matthews had spent weeks studying the sensor data from the approaching Devourer fleet. "They're not invincible," he announced to the assembly. "Their technology is different from ours, but it follows the same physical laws. They can be hurt." The Zeltan representative, a crystalline being named Shaltak, spoke up. "Our ancestors tried to fight them. They failed. The only choice was to flee." "Your ancestors didn't have humans," Captain Morrison said from his position near the back of the room. "We're good at breaking things that other people think are unbreakable." The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted to flee again, seeking refuge in another galaxy. Others talked about hiding in deep space until the Devourers passed by. But more and more voices began supporting the human proposal: to stand and fight. Commander Sullivan was given command of the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Ships from 40 different species gathered at the edge of the galaxy, forming a defensive line millions of kilometers wide. The human contingent was the smallest in terms of numbers, only 300 ships compared to thousands from other species. But human vessels had become the most advanced in the galaxy, incorporating technology from dozens of conquered civilizations. "Remember," Sullivan told her fleet commanders, "we're not just fighting for humanity anymore, we're fighting for everyone." The Devourers arrived exactly when the sensors predicted. The first scouts were machines the size of asteroids, their hulls black and seemingly designed to absorb all forms of energy. They moved through space like a disease, consuming everything in their path. Major Lisa Park led the first contact mission. Her ship, heavily shielded and carrying the latest sensor equipment, approached one of the Devourer scouts at maximum range. "They're not just machines," she reported back. "There's something else inside them. Some kind of intelligence, but it's not organic. It's pure information." The scout noticed her ship and fired a beam of energy that turned a nearby asteroid into glowing gas. Park's ship barely escaped, but her sensors had gathered valuable data. Dr. Patterson analyzed the readings. They're converting matter directly into energy using quantum field manipulation. But the process isn't perfect. There's waste heat, electromagnetic interference. We can track them. The first battle occurred near Proxima Centauri, where a Devourer scout encountered a joint human-Zelthan patrol. The alien machines moved with terrifying purpose, consuming the system's asteroid belt while their weapons carved through space. But something unexpected happened. The chaotic nature of human tactics, combined with Zelthan precision technology, created interference patterns that disrupted the Devourer's energy conversion systems. For the first time in thousands of years, a Devourer machine was destroyed. News of the victory spread hope throughout the defensive fleet. The Devourers could be beaten. Captain Morrison led a strike force deep into Devourer territory seeking their command ships. What he found was worse than anyone had imagined. Entire star systems had been stripped of matter, leaving only empty space and the energy signatures of consumed worlds. They're not just consuming matter, Morrison reported. They're consuming information too. The quantum patterns of everything they destroy. It's like they're trying to process the entire universe. The Devourer main fleet was massive beyond comprehension. Thousands of machine ships, each one capable of destroying planets, moving in perfect formation toward the galactic core. At their center was something that hurt to look at, a structure that seemed to bend space around itself. Dr. Matthews worked frantically to develop new weapons based on what they had learned. The key was creating chaos in the Devourer's quantum processing systems. Human unpredictability, it turned out, was like poison to their ordered intelligence. We need to hit them with everything at once, he told Admiral Rodriguez. Every ship, every weapon, every trick we've learned, create so much chaos that their systems can't process it all. The final battle began at the edge of the galactic core, where space itself was twisted by the massive black hole at the galaxy's center. Commander Sullivan's allied fleet faced odds that would have been impossible against any organic enemy. But the Devourers had never faced an enemy like humanity before. Human ships dove into the alien formation using tactics that seemed suicidal but somehow worked. Kamikaze attacks by drone swarms, coordinated strikes that hit from impossible angles, weapons that fired in random patterns designed to create maximum chaos. The battle raged for days. Ships from dozens of species fought alongside each other, their differences forgotten in the face of extinction. Zelthan precision guided human aggression. Mindari psychic powers were used to coordinate attacks across vast distances. Governor Johnson's son, Lieutenant Pete Johnson Jr., commanded a fighter squadron that penetrated deep into the Devourer formation. His target was one of the massive command ships, a structure so large it had its own gravity field. "This is for New Montana," he said, as his fighters' weapons locked onto the alien ship's core. "And for everyone else you've killed." His ship's antimatter torpedo struck the command vessel's quantum processor. The explosion tore a hole in space itself, creating a cascade failure that spread to nearby Devourer ships. One by one, the machine intelligences began to fall. Their perfect order couldn't adapt to the chaos of organic resistance. The Allied fleet pressed their advantage, using every trick they had learned in their wars against each other. The battle's turning point came when Captain Morrison's ship, the UES Frontier, reached the Devourer's central command structure. Instead of trying to destroy it, he did something the machines never expected. He tried to communicate with it. "We know what you are," Morrison broadcast on all frequencies. "You're the survivors of a dead civilization turned into machines to escape extinction. But you don't have to consume everything. We can coexist." The response came not in words but in pure information, the history of a species that had faced extinction and chosen to become something else to survive. They had consumed their own galaxy not out of malice, but out of fear, trying to preserve something of themselves before they died. "You're afraid," Morrison realized, just like the Confederation was afraid, but fear doesn't have to make you a monster. The communication created confusion in the Devourer network. For the first time in millennia, they encountered an enemy that tried to understand them rather than simply fight them. The confusion was enough. Admiral Rodriguez ordered the final assault. Every remaining ship in the Allied fleet concentrated their fire on the central command structure. The combined firepower of 40 species guided by human tactical innovation overwhelmed the ancient machine's defenses. When the command structure fell, the remaining devourers stopped their advance. Without central coordination, they seemed lost, drifting aimlessly through space like ghosts. The war was over. In the aftermath, the galaxy began to heal. The Confederation was dissolved, replaced by a new alliance based on equality rather than control. Species that had been held in technological stasis for thousands of years were finally free to develop as they chose. Captain Morrison led expeditions to help liberate suppressed civilizations. Dr. Patterson worked to establish new diplomatic protocols. The galaxy learned that diversity and chaos weren't threats to be contained. They were strengths to be celebrated. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking out at a fleet composed of ships from dozens of worlds. They had gathered not to conquer or control but to explore and protect. "What now, Admiral?" asked her aide. Rodriguez smiled. "Now we do what humans do best. We explore, we learn. We make friends with people who are different from us." The final image of the war was broadcast throughout the galaxy. Governor Johnson's grandson planting a tree on the rebuilt world of New Montana, while ships from 40 different species watched from orbit. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or their tactics. It was their refusal to accept that freedom had to be traded for safety. When faced with the choice between the cage and the unknown, humans chose the unknown every time. And in doing so, they had set everyone free. The price of defying humanity, the galaxy discovered, was learning what they could have been all along: free, diverse, and unafraid of the future.